Hey, hello everybody. We're back again for more of the same. Warp Drive, Star Trek Picard Season 3, back aboard the Titan on the final frontier. The 25th century and the cast of The Next Generation recently returned and reunited on screen at last for Season 3 of Star Trek Picard, or Star Trek The Next Generation Season 8, as Chris has suggested that we rebrand it. I think we should petition that to happen officially for this 10-part season that's going to close out this saga. Definitely, it feels like a saga that's coming to a natural conclusion as well. And this is our continuing mission to keep track with Trek over those 10 weeks as the series works its way to an end. So yeah, here we are, two episodes left, and you do wonder when a show gets smaller and where there's more scenes of people talking in corridors, Lee, you think, okay, they're doing this because they're saving money and they're going to blow us away with the final two episodes. And when you build things up like that, you think, oh God, can it possibly deliver? I think when you've enjoyed something for 2 months, and it reminds me of season, I try not to mention Doctor Who very often on these shows, but I can't help it. It reminds me of when Doctor Who came back. And you're looking at, okay, that it's got 13 weeks, the last two are going to be big, and it feels exactly the same way with this. And this is episode 9 that we've got this time. It's called Vox, and here is I've got the blurb. I've got the blurb somewhere, have I? No, I haven't got the blurb. Where's that gone? Okay, so this picks up from the end of the previous episode. This is this is written and directed by Terry Matalas this time. And Jack Crusher, he is with the help of Councillor Troy about to open the door, isn't he, and confront his torment that has been with him throughout his life, and the identity of the nemesis at the heart of it all is about to be revealed. The Federation itself is under siege from within their own ranks by what we thought were the changelings, but it turns out the changelings were a sort of a mule for something far, far nastier, and a plan that does get revealed to us in episode 9 of season 3 of Picard here, Vox. So yeah, they unveil this plan and this threat. I was initially a little disappointed that it was the Borg again, because we have had the Borg again in those of us unfortunate enough to have watched the earlier seasons. The Borg were in both seasons of Picard before.
Yeah.
But
I
somehow
didn't have to put up with it.
10 years. Yeah, they're saying it's been 10 years since the last time there's been a Borg sighting and all that crap. And now we're
technically they are right. They are right, but no, because in the first season it was a sort of a reclaimed crashed Borg ship, wasn't it? They were picking their way through, and in season 2 it was just a queen. But even so, they played on the Borg. They were part of it. So to restore the menace of the characters, and yet, for all that I felt slightly deflated when I realised that the Borg were involved, Matt, personally, within about 2 minutes of this starting, and I think it was down to the acting and the writing again, I was immediately invested and I actually felt the menace of the Borg throughout this entire episode more than I have, Lee, probably certainly since before Voyager, probably since First Contact.
This felt like an actual existential threat, especially, I have to say, when you saw that Borg cube emerging out of that nebula. It was, I said this last night, it was the sense of scale and menace, and it's just emerging, and you just think, wow, for the first time actually, because I've seen a lot of Borg cubes over the years, this was the first time I actually saw the Borg cube and that sense of menace and scale. I mean, we've seen that plenty of times, but what I'm saying, with that particular shot, it just felt different. It felt, not only were they back in a big way, but this was how much of a threat. You can almost viscerally sense it. You know? That's what I like. That's proper science fiction. That's you getting really that sense of urgency and threat and menace, and it was beautifully shot. And I like you, Dan, was kind of like, oh, of course it's the Borg, you know. But when they started later on, you know, just completely just killing tons of people, that was like, whoa, you know, they uploaded and they just controlled the background, and we'll get into that because that's one of my favorite bits in the entire episode was the 25-year-olds.
There was so much.
Oh no, don't! I'm not even going to go into bloody Borg sperm. That was bloody ridiculous. Sorry.
To be fair, Lee, with this episode, there is so much in it, plot-wise and character-wise and moments-wise, that will have. I think there's some things which will have pleased us all, which will all be which will still be fizzing in our heads now. Depending on what we latch onto with Star Trek. So it is hard to know where to start with this. I think it's impossible to make your way through it in a kind of linear way because it was like a rush of various different feels. As much as I like Jack Crusher, I couldn't wait to get all this stuff with the door out of the way because obviously time is now short. There's only 2 hours left. We've got the crew of the Next Generation together again.
Yeah, exactly. This would have been, if this had been Terry Matalas in charge for 3 seasons, this would have all have been well paced out, all thought out, and not crushed into 10 episodes to fit it all in. I think it was very ambitious what he's done. I do think he dropped the ball on a number of things. We'll get into that. But I do think on the whole, he did an astounding job with the limitations, not only in budget, but time, egos, all the rest of it, getting everyone together and writing this under such enormous pressure, really, because you think, well, you've got to finish off this incredibly unpopular show with a whole new sort of team, really, and put it together and deliver. And considering how absolutely desperate I think Paramount must be at this point, this has been a lifelink. So hats off to him. You know, I mean, he's got a lot of criticism, and in some ways, rightfully so, in terms of script and story and characters, in some regards. But on the whole, he's done pretty much the unthinkable. You know, he's pulled this franchise out of the darkness for at least one final hurrah, and it's been a phenomenal success. People are talking about it. It's been trending. The computer systems crashed at the IMAX for the final episode, which is to come, where people were trying to get tickets to go to the IMAX to see the final.
That's incredible
episode, and system crashed. So it goes. To show,
this does feel cinematically, doesn't it?
It does, and I think that Star Trek.
For all that we've just said about the effects,
I think the effects have been very good. I have to say, I think.
Yeah, I do.
I think it gets a little bit of stick, but considering we know the budget limitations, we've seen budget.
They've had the flavour of Star Trek. They've had the flavour. Exactly.
Yeah, it's within the scope of what we've come to expect from Star Trek on television, and I think he exceeded that. I think the ships look beautiful. I think the effects have been stellar. Actually, I think that, you know, yes, you've got goo monsters. You know, that's probably the cheapest thing you can do, but it works. Okay, although I have to say I would like proper phasers, not pew-pews. But other than that, yeah, I think.
Do you think that they're trying? Do you think that they're trying out, because Jack Crusher uses a classic TOS phaser in this, and they've not explained why. Maybe it was from his days sort of as a space sort of pirate, whatever. Maybe it was something he picked up and reconditioned himself. I don't know. But there seems to be lots of different kinds of phasers in this. Do you think they're waiting to see which ones we latch onto as an audience before they move things forward with whatever's coming next?
I don't know. It is a bit of a mishmash. Even the uniforms are a bit of a mishmash, you know. So it does seem to be a little bit confused. But I mean, I'll be surprised at this point.
There is something of the kind of the How can I put
I
this?
love this
There's
scene.
something of the Fleetwood Mac, the old rockers thing about, bring back these sort of 60-year-old actors, put them all in leather, get them all
Yeah.
on screen. But then
You
again,
can buy the
what would
jackets now for $300. The
Can
leather
you?
ones, properly. Yeah.
See, but what would you prefer? Do you want to see your actors comfortable in pretty cool outfits, or do you want
I want
me
to see them
pull some
badass. That's what I want to
pajamas?
see.
Yeah, I think they do look badass. I think they look comfortable in their characters and in what they're wearing. I think that counts for. I'm not. surprised
They would
people
look
are-
ridiculous in their original uniforms, and which were, years and years ago at this point anyway. So it would have been ridiculous if the uniforms had stayed the same anyway. So I get that, and yes, it would have looked. I mean, them with their pot bellies and things like that. It wouldn't have been very flattering. Let's be honest.
So this was around 50 minutes long, Lee. I mean, it's half. We're going to get. I would imagine the final episode's going to be slightly longer. I would say that he will have been indulged. It's going to be at least an hour, I would say, because the longer episodes have been. So did this keep you on the edge of your seat all the way through? But with the action stuff, because it is quite intense. It's either very, very emotional, like the moment.
Don't do this to me.
I did. I hate to say it.
No.
I'm not brilliant at predicting what's going to happen in TV shows. I get too wrapped up. I'm just not that kind of
God,
person.
who didn't see that coming?
But yeah,
I
I
know,
did.
I know. We were waiting
did.
for it.
I did see this coming a few weeks ago that Captain Shaw would be killed. I think simply because of the fact, simply because of the fact that somebody's got to be someone. The fact is that somebody's got to die. Otherwise, you feel like
yeah,
what was it for?
Raffy,
I
kill
have a
off
very-
Raffy. Would have been that much easier.
Yeah, I have a very contentious view on this actually, and
Go on.
I got shot down in flames, probably rightfully so. But I thought his death was ill-judged, at least in that time, just before the big reveal of the Enterprise. I felt he had a really bad death.
It was too quick, maybe.
Yeah.
Not only that, I think his arc, his character arc
up
was
to
not
Kirk.
fully addressed. He had this issue with Picard previously in the bar scene on the holodeck, where he felt guilt surviving, and yet here he is, sort of just getting pew-pewed by accident, and it's not really a sort of sacrificial moment. It doesn't feel earned. It just feels very rushed, and it's a bit of a damp squib of an exit, really. It had emotional beats to it. My contention.
But the thing is, though, Lee, I mean, death in reality does tend to happen
But
very, very quickly, doesn't it?
yes, but my contentious point, and hear me out, open your minds real wide now. If 7 of 9 had died instead of
No.
him,
No.
Yes.
the emotional arc would have been perfect, and he would have
No.
gone on, and he would have avenged her, and he would have honored her as 7 of 9. And I don't know. That's my contention.
No,
I
but they
think
had to
that-
give
I
the
think that would have
title
been a
ship
hard-
to 7 of 9, didn't they? And
I
also,
think that would be a
who
hard sell. She's
I-
too
Who knew what the
important.
last word's
She's
gonna
too
be?
important a character. It wouldn't surprise me if Raffi meets her end as well, just like Matt said.
Yay.
Wouldn't surprise me at all. But I think killing 7 would be a tour. I mean, what I liked about
I
the
love
death
her
of Cap-
character. Don't get me wrong. I'm just thinking in terms of the story. This is the final.
That's a Kirk.
Okay,
No.
she's going to go off and she's going to become captain of the
No.
Titan.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
gonna be
she's already
captain of the
captain
Titan.
of the Titan. Yeah,
She is
exactly.
captain.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
why he
I'd
goes,
say-
"Oh, it was always your ship, 7 of
the,
9."
Yeah,
the,
That was a bit
the
cringe.
important, obviously the important
yeah, well,
matter.
bad directing, that
The
was.
important line. Bad directing, really?
Oh, yeah, shocking.
But for me, the important line was the fact that he accepted that she's 7 of 9 and not Hansen. He accepts that she knows who she is, and that he finally places trust in her in that
Yeah, but
moment.
he could have addressed that at her funeral.
Tough luck, love. I accept
Yeah.
you. I accept you now for who you say. Obviously, Todd Stashwick, is it, who played Captain Shaw. He's been a firm favourite here on the show, as he has. Well, actually, having said that, first couple of weeks, I think a lot of people
hated him.
found him objectionable. I knew what he was doing from the start. I like this kind of acting. I like these kind of characters. I always loved the Sixth Doctor for exactly the same reasons. But the fandom has taken Todd to their hearts, and it's not. I think he realised that the reception to his passing could be mixed, shall we say. So he's put out this video. I don't know if any of you have seen this. What do you think? How you feel? Have you got the hankies out again there, PD? Was that a bit too much?
Yeah, I like Captain Shaw. I thought he was a brilliant character, and I think Todd plays him really well.
I don't think either of them needed to die myself.
Go on, Chris. Give us your review of this episode. Then start wherever you like and finish wherever you like. Because with this episode, I think there's so much in it. It's hard to go linear on it. What do you think?
Well, first, address the issue with the effects. One of the things that made real Star Trek, which would be, everything aside from the stuff we won't discuss, one of the budget limitations are one of the things that made the show so great. Unlike the Next Generation, relatively speaking, didn't have a massive budget per episode. They could afford a few massive extravaganzas a season, but for the most part, they were bottle episodes, so they had to work within that constraint or within those constraints, and that's why focusing on story is one of the main things that made the show great. And to contradict Lee again, as I did last night,
How
I shall
dare
contradict
you.
him again. Oh, shut up. I love you, man. But shut up. I don't want to see either of them die, but I definitely don't want to see 7 of 9 die. I did not like her, but I refuse to admit that character in the last 2 seasons was 7 of 9.
I love her again now.
Oh yeah,
I loved her in Voyager as well.
Well, I want to see her journey continue, and if Star Trek Legacy does happen, I want 7 of 9 to be a part of it, because I think you can actually. If you start with this season, you can see the way her character has grown from what it was. But in terms of this episode, I will agree with Matt a little bit. The whole idea of, and even there were some things that I could tell what was going to happen. One was, you're going to have all your ships in the entire fleet controlled at once. Whoever would have thought that would be a good idea? That sounds like the worst idea imaginable. And considering it was taken over in 2 minutes after it was implemented, yeah, that's a bad idea. But no, I was kind of, there were hints, and the thing that I really geeked out about, what we all did, was I've actually got a picture of the Enterprise D. That cast picture is the desktop on my computer, which literally replaced the Blade Runner desktop I've had for like 3 computers in 6 years. But the end. But I could see that they were going to bring back the Enterprise D, because it was hinted, they're making fun of the fat
You
one.
saw that coming?
Well, in the beginning, and Dave Cullen noticed this as well in his video. In the beginning, I'm like, nobody likes the fat one. I'm like, it's coming. I was hoping I was right. I'm like, it's coming. Please, please, please let it come. I want the... And I figured they were going to bring back some of them. Like, there's a reason why they have Geordi at the Fleet Museum. And I was thinking, no, don't bring back the Enterprise E. That's not what we associate with. It was 3 movies, and I didn't like it. It's just no. And then as soon as they came up with the plot where all these ships can communicate together, I'm like, oh, well, then you're going to have to find something that isn't connected.
Yeah,
with this.
yeah.
And so I knew it was going to happen. I'm like, hoping for. I'm like, yes, for the love of God. So they're going to space dock. They open the doors. I'm like, yes, damn it.
In this respect, though, when they pull strokes like this, because I must say I didn't see that moment coming. I didn't.
Oh, I did.
I thought the Enterprise D was completely dust, and we'd never see it again. I figured that the solution would lie back at that museum, but I imagined that they would dust down all the ships that were, the Defiant, the Voyager. I thought they'd break all those out and have their own mini fleet.
No, it had to be the Enterprise D, and Red Letter Media actually called it right at the beginning. Because if we look at the Viridian 3, yes, the star drive section was destroyed. Yes, I wish they would have called it the star drive section, not the engine and nacelles, but that's a little nitpicky thing. But when it crashed into Viridian 3, it was messed up, but it was still kind of intact. So it obviously took Geordi 20 years to fix it. So
still
it was quite a
flyable.
mess. Yeah, it would still be, well, it wouldn't be flyable, but they would have had to get it off. It was kind of a mess. But as soon as they said, I'm like, I was hoping that I was right, because if I was wrong, I would be very sad. But they got the Enterprise. I'm like, yes. Oh, God damn it. Yes. Then that turbolift opens, and I'm thinking, they're reactivating everything. I'm like, oh, it's going to be because with the Lacars system or whatever you call it, their OS, it's all like blue now on the new ships. I'm like, they'll open it up and it'll have like that new blue font. But no, it comes up, it's like the old colors of yellow and orange generation. Then then Majel Barrett's voice comes on, and Picard has taken a field demotion to captain. And then just as other people said this, all the power is suddenly back in his voice. And it was like, oh, I like this is, it was like, I was like 15 all over again, or no, the show went off the air right after I turned 16. Damn, it's been that old, or it's been that long, but it's like I'm a kid again. I'm looking at this, I'm like, this is so cool. And I don't care. You can make fun of me if you want. We've spent the past years being pooped on everything over and over again. And
this is, in my view, this is how to do it right. This is giving people what Ian Diaz would call giving people what they want, and pulling no punches. I mean, for me, and I wasn't expecting this because I'm a visual guy. It sets some production design. That's what interests me as well. So when the graphics all booted up, that did affect me. But the moment for me was hearing Majel Barrett as the computer. I don't know why. I don't think I realised how much I missed that. I don't think I'd realised how much her voice was synonymous with particularly 90s Star Trek. I know she'd always been the voice, but for some reason on the D, the computer in that series seemed to be more the kind of the 8th or 9th member of the crew.
Yeah, and I have to head off shortly, but the one thing that I want to give props for, Terry Metalis and recreating that bridge, because I've been looking at pictures online, comparing it, and the bridge changed subtly throughout each of the seasons. The carpet changed, carpet,
panels, everything gradually changed. Yeah,
and one thing I'm glad they didn't bring back is for Generations they put stations on the side, and I'm glad they got rid of that and went back to the panels. But I'm like, seeing picture comparisons, like how close it is. And for those of you who don't know, there was nothing left after Generations. That the set there were pictures of it online after it was torn apart.
It was literally blown up, wasn't
it? They tore it apart because that's where the Voyager bridge set had to go, and then they tore apart the Voyager bridge set to put the Enterprise bridge set there. Enterprise NX-01. But I'm looking at the pictures and I'm like, damn, like it's just the attention to detail, like holy crap. I'm just like, and the comment about the carpet, I'm like, yeah, the carpet, it was done for soundproofing, so there was a reason they did it. But it was, I like the carpet. I'm like, well, yeah. And for people who are complaining that the show was so dark, it wasn't dark when they brought the Enterprise back. And yeah, you can see in season 1, very different from what it be like. You got the panels behind Picard's chair that weren't there anymore. The side panels look different. The carpeting looked different. The seats are different material. The bridge was heavily reconstructed between seasons 1 and 2, and yep, there's that. And it's just, I am geeking out. And yeah, I
well, they moved it. They took it down and rebuilt it in another building in between seasons 1 and 2 of TNG, didn't they?
Yeah. Actually, yeah, the
lighting was changed as well.
They moved the show, and then the lighting and everything was completely redone for season 3, which is when it started to look good. It was the Star Trek Voyager set actually ended up burning down one year, and they had to rebuild it from scratch. I think it was in the middle of season 4.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, or it was heavily damaged. There was a fire at the studio, and they had to heavily reconstruct the Voyager set. But I'm wondering if any of parts of this set, because some parts of the set were saved, I think some of the chairs and stuff. So I wonder if any components actually were from the original set.
It was all built from scratch. I imagined that this would have been partly rebuilt and would partly be CGI. Because
it wasn't.
That's what was done for Relics, wasn't it? When the episode of TNG where Scotty was on the original Enterprise, it was they built a small area and they did the rest with camera trickery and early CGI. But this was all built from scratch, a brand new set of the Enterprise D. The only thing that is that wasn't built especially for this episode was the dedication plaque for the Enterprise. That is the one from that original set from '87. It survived. It's the only bit that survived.
Yeah, and I must head out because I've still got my wacky weekends. And yes, for anybody who's wondering, in like 6 weeks or so, I won't be running away from streams because I'll actually be able to have time to have a life again. But I'm busy and stuff. But I cannot wait for next week's episode. It's as soon as I get home, it's gonna be like, damn, okay, puppy, go pee faster. Okay, pee faster. Dad wants to watch Star Trek. But what I want is, this cannot be the end of it, and it's been hinted at. Now there's the sad thing where, yes, that terrible Kurtzman show is coming, and what I was actually saying on our stream last night is, this is what you need to do with Star Trek. So you have 2 streams at once. You have your Kurtzman garbage Trek that 15 people will watch. You can go have your Starfleet Academy shite, and then give us an option on the app so we can like block that show so it doesn't even come up. But with Star Trek Legacy, give us more of this. Yes, I know we probably can't do Patrick Stewart, but give us Jonathan Frakes. Give us 7 of 9 as first officer. Find some way to put it might be stretching it a bit, but find some way to put the Enterprise D back in service. That would make me so happy. But here's what I'm thinking, Dan. And Dave Collins said this in his review. There is a mid-credit sequence at the end of next week's episode. I have no idea what it is, and I don't want to look
mid-credit sequence.
And I think this is why the Star Trek Legacy show, and this is another one of those cases where I hope I'm right. Well, I'm hoping that this is why we haven't had an announcement of Star Trek Legacy, and all we got was that garbage stuff. So I'm hoping that's what the announcement is. Obviously, it can't be Picard, but give us something with this. Give us some of the characters. I don't know. Maybe Picard goes I don't want
to get too ahead of ourselves, because firstly I want to carry on making Star Trek content. I think there's a lot of conversations and a lot to unpack in all of this. And so I'm well aware of the hashtag Star Trek Legacy and what Terry wants to do there. I think there's a whole conversation we can have about and about the general. Well, Matt, you don't have to have it if you don't want to, Matt. But there's always a chair for if you want it. Don't get me wrong. But there's conversations to be had, and I think there are more options for Star Trek than there have been in a very, very long time. And the way I feel about it is that just because I grew up watching TNG, DS9, Voyager, never missing any Star Trek at all. Star Trek was for me. I think what I'll have to become accustomed to is the idea that there are different flavors of Star Trek to suit different tastes, and maybe different demographics. I don't know, and whether that is within a brand, within a franchise. And in the same way that there are all ages Batman comics, for example, as well as Detective Comics at DC. And is that wrong? Is it wrong that they put out sort of Bat Kids or Ace the Bat Hound comics? But no, it probably isn't. It's just difficult to look at Star Trek like that. But I hope you'll come back next week for the finale. We'll be talking about the finale next time, Chris.
Oh, I will be here. I will be here with bells on, and I'll still be buzzing. And then
I'll try and schedule it a little earlier than we can guarantee, because I always think it's going to last an hour and a half, and it always goes longer.
Oh, it never does.
Thank you.
Yeah. So everybody, and Matt is going to love it.
Well,
right, Matt.
This is it. Yeah, I'm going to give Matt. I think Matt really wants to let fly on this, so I'm going to let him have his say next.
Matt, I will watch this later as well before we go. So I'm going to see. So I will be watching this in the future later today. So
Chris, thanks for your
long and prosper. Bye, y'all.
Thank you. Goodbye, Cultivated Media, and goodbye to the Yellow Man too. Good to see you.
Cheers.
Yeah, so as I was saying, yeah, it's always good company, Chris, and don't forget to subscribe to Cultivated Media /Bowls Trek. He's back on good days and bad days. Heaven knows what more material is going to be on the way there from Chris at Cultivated Media. But if you haven't seen his new video on the state of Doctor Who, and if you care about Doctor Who, you don't necessarily have to agree with him. I don't necessarily agree with him, but I do believe that Bowls Trek is a valuable voice in the Doctor Who community, and what he's got to say is always worth hearing. Back to Star Trek and this episode of Picard. Yeah, so that was rather a gush there from Chris. He's a very, very happy camper. So he's not all miserable, all the people out there who think that he is. And that's lovely to hear, isn't it, Matt? But it seems to me like you really don't feel the same way at all, do you? There's something about this that has yanked your chain. It seems like this is not sitting well with you at all. As an entire episode.
The whole episode was so predictable from beginning to end, and I just you knew 5 minutes every time in front of what was going to happen. You just knew it, and it just seemed
that was the case for me a couple of times. I can't deny it.
Yeah, and I just, I don't know.
For me, I find that sometimes I find it quite gratifying when things happen that I either want to happen or predict. I don't know whether it just makes me feel like I'm part of the show, or that I'm part of this universe, or what. I think if you look into those things, you can find out a bit too much about yourself. I don't know. I found it reassuring, for example, that I'd worked out that Captain Shaw probably had to die. He died. Yeah. I was thinking, oh yeah, you're probably right. But there are other instances where the Borg reveal at the beginning was a prime example where I thought, I wish I wasn't right about the Borg. I wish it was somebody else. But within 10 minutes of the episode, I thought, well, they're doing it well. Am I on board? Wow. Yeah, I am. So after that moment, I thought, well, it's not going to change this episode. It's the Borg. Roll with it. That's just me. And obviously that's just me. So totally subjective.
I just thought the whole from the initial Borg sperm thing going, that whole thing going on about that. And I was
so the idea of the Borg using the transporters, that's the thing, isn't it?
That's the other thing I'm talking about. I'm talking about Picard, actually keeping his DNA inside. Yes. So don't worry. I think it's all a little too rewriting his. Yeah, and I think they would have a thing in there. Surely they would have a thing in there to say, "Hey, there's been a change in the transporter." Surely there'd have to be something in there. Another thing that really, really irked me was the Borg Queen as well. Now, I am guessing that they use the original voice, the original voice from the original actress for that. Would you know, Dan?
I'm beginning to regret saying okay, go everywhere with this, because I did want to save that till later.
Okay, no, that's all right. No. Well, wait.
Well, let's. I can't really go back on that. Okay, so we do hear that voice, don't we? With Jack Crusher, there's a a looming voice, and something is descending from out of the ceiling. Jack, he looks he's gone off for a confrontation with the Borg, hasn't he? He's taken it to them. He's chosen to take the bull by the horns.
With no backup plan, with nothing.
No backup plan whatsoever.
Stupid.
It does seem. It seems. I think they're trying to evoke the kind of Kirk recklessness, but I think I'm with you about that. I can't believe he wouldn't tell his mum. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a mummy's boy. Yeah, he's.
Well, I get the impression his mum's his best friend and confidant. You see, unless maybe he didn't want to put her in danger. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I look. I mean that. Let's start at the beginning where Picard goes in and sees him. He's like, "I'm going to send you off to a monastery." And I was just like, "Are you serious?" It's like, "It's okay, it's okay."
It's better than a laboratory, though.
What do you even need to go into a laboratory for? I mean, it's your own bloody son, for God's sake. And you're already sending him off. I just thought, he's like, "No, we can work through this. We'll find an answer." No, it's just like, "I'm going to send you off to a Vulcan monastery." Fuck that. I
didn't see it like that at all.
Yeah,
So which timeline are we in then? If Vulcan is still around, can we confirm that?
Well, we shouldn't even need to confirm it. In my view, this has always been the original timeline. This has always been the original timeline. I know what some of the content creators feel and put out about this, and that's up to them. For me, there's never been any doubt at all. This has been the original timeline. There's never been any suggestion on screen or editorially that it wasn't. And if people have overinvested in that narrative, that's up to them. To me, this is plainly the original timeline, and therefore Vulcan exists.
Yes, I have to just interrupt to say that I've got to head out now. So thank you for inviting me.
So, sorry, Chris, I feel like you haven't had a chance to say a great deal.
Oh, that's all right.
But we'll have you back on. If you want to come back and talk more about Star Trek, then by all means get in touch and let us know what you want to talk about, and I'll keep you in the loop.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for having me. And I said a lot of what I wanted to say, but it was great to hear everyone's conversation. But I've got to head out now. So thank you so much for
all right, buddy. Good to catch up with you again. You take care.
Thank you so much.
Chris.
Bye bye, Chris. Bye bye.
Bye.
Then there were four.
And then there were four. Yeah, then there were four. Yeah. So this situation with Jack, it is all very, very intense, and it is heightened. It's very over dramatic. And,
oh God, the melodrama!
Yeah, God,
angry now. I'm going to put
angry.
angry voice. It was EastEnders. I'm sorry.
Yep.
He can be really, really good in so many ways, and then he'll just do something.
The actor.
Oh God, don't. Yeah.
I
don't think he's. I don't think he's a.
You don't think he's found the balance yet?
Actor. I don't think he's a very good actor. I'm sorry. I know he's liked. I like certain scenes. I like the scene with him on the holodeck with Picard. I like that.
I'm getting a lot more negatives on this than I thought, because everybody I spoke to loved this episode.
No, I love the episode, but I'm not going to turn a blind eye to where I think things either could have improved or where things were just generally not right. But I will praise all the wonderful things in this episode.
Do you think he's well cast, or do you think he's struggling to?
No, I don't think he was well cast. I think when they said he looked like his father, I was like, what universe does he look like his father? His accent is all wrong. I know they tried to address it. It just no. I just don't think he's a very strong actor. I think he's very self-aware that he's acting rather than embodying the role. I find certain line deliveries over-egged and a bit hammy, to use, I don't know, English breakfast analogies. But I think he could have honed it in a little bit more. I don't know if it's in his wheelhouse, quite honestly. That's how I feel.
Because, to be fair, to put any actor into a franchise like Star Trek, it is very heightened. It is quite melodramatic. You know, have you seen William Shatner? Have you seen Brent Spiner?
But he's supposed
have
to be
you
in his
seen
20s,
Have
so
you
he
seen
looks like
Avery
he's
Brooks?
30 something.
Yeah, I've seen Terry Metalis talk about that. They did they had a decision to make about casting an actor who was older than the character was meant to be, and they decided to go with the actor. Yeah, I suppose this is a choice that faces maybe a lot of casting directors and producers. Do you go with somebody younger, or do you go with the actor you feel is right for the character?
Someone who can act.
They decided. I think that he's a fantastic actor.
Colour?
I think he's a fantastic actor. I think he's brilliantly cast in this, if not as Patrick Stewart's son, then as Captain Picard's son, and as the potential. How can I put this? The person who could potentially take the baton for 25th century Star Trek, and I would love to see that. I want to see this character develop, and I want to see this actor develop. I think that the best is absolutely. Do I think that the actor, that Ed, can do better than this? Absolutely. I think he'll grow with the part. That's what excites me about this actor matched with this character. I feel I've said this I think every week. For me, he's Tom Hardy mashed with Chris Pine. He's all the best things about an actor with the intensity of Patrick Stewart and with the swagger and the charm of William Shatner or Chris Pine.
And I don't
necessarily think I don't think he's necessarily there yet, but I think he will be. I couldn't disagree. Again, you know, I have to respectfully disagree. I thought he's been fantastic all the way through, but I accept that other people may feel differently.
Are we going to talk about the portrayal of Starfleet in this too, Dan? In this episode? The
portrayal of Starfleet, I'm lost, mate. I'm not recognise any of the thing. Your reading of this episode is blowing my mind. To me, this was a 50-minute roller coaster of absolutely everything I wanted from this show at this time, pointing to an even better actual finale. I was thrilled by practically every single scene. I thought every character had brilliant moments. Feels like they're an evolution of what was gone on before. I think it was fun. I think it's made with great passion and directed with flair and written with the best grasp of all these characters, both the old and the new. And so
I think Matt's a bit harsher on it than I am. I think
I'm aware, Lee, that some of the threads to it, sort of, the transporters do this. And
I love the transporter thing.
Picard's disease does that when we need it to as well. I'm aware that if I was so minded, I could look at that in a purely practical sense and pull it all out and say, well, I can see why they've done that. It's because the script needs to go here and go there to take these characters to A, B, and C. But I think you would have to be. Yeah, and I think that and to be honest, I think that throughout season 3. There has been contrivances in this, but because I've been my willingness to be entertained, and because I feel I know a very clear signal is being sent to me that they want to please me. They want us to have it's clear to me they had a brilliant time making this, but I think I said this to PD Rich earlier on.
Yeah.
They had a great time making it, but they want us to have just as good a time, ideally a better time, in watching the thing. And I wouldn't say I will forgive people a lot for that, but I'm very aware of that intent is underlying all of this. So
I think you've nailed it. You've nailed it on the head in terms of fan service, and I think they struck a wonderful balance. I think that they have created a roller coaster ride. We have been invested. The characters are drawing you in, even the new characters, even some of the characters that have been carried over from series 1 and 2, which I didn't know about really, but even they apparently have improved, and I quite like them. You know, Raffi has, you know, I've seen clips.
I like her as well.
But she's been, I think, fairly decent in this. She's not been overpowering or too over the top or anything like that. I feel that yes, there are a lot of things you can forgive, particularly in this episode. As I've said before, if Terry I was going to say Matalan, Matalis, if he had taken this show from its inception we would have a very different conversation, I think. And I'm so willing to be so forgiving to this man who's effectively overnight saved Star Trek. As much as I would hope that that is true. He's clearly invested. He clearly loves Star Trek. He's been involved with Star Trek before. He's shown a duty, care, and attention to a lot of things in this show. There are things which people will pick up on, particularly very sort of uber Trekkies, will be like really picking out all these things and admonishing him. Maybe
he said Captain Riker's favorite chocolate's a milk tray, when we know that he prefers Nestle Dairy Box because he said it in generations. Oh, come on, get a life.
Exactly. There's going to be an element that at least we're having those conversations and not how woke it is. Like, for one thing, this is
exactly.
Thank God we get to have these arguments, because they've been sorely missed. And I much prefer those kind of arguments than being sidetracked with all the other political nonsense. So that's good. That's good fandom, right? Everyone's welcome to that. So I would say, look, if this episode had more time, if it was stretched over a longer season, or if it was stretched over more seasons, then obviously a lot of these writing inconsistencies and slight problems and contrivances that are forced there to move the story along quickly to get to the next episode. I understand why that's happened, and I think you have to be a little bit forgiving. Yes, it's going to jar people. Yes, it's going to get people creating conversations and arguments and all the rest of it, which is still good. People are still talking about it. That means they care about it, and I think that.
Do you think? First, do you think that the reason why some of this is a little contrived, and some of the beats that it's hitting are so familiar, is because this is also a chance as well for Star Trek on television to reach people who aren't necessarily normies, but people who haven't seen any Star Trek for quite a long time. Because TNG, in particular, PD, that was here, not just in the States, but in Britain as well.
Oh yeah.
Even though it was on BBC Two, that was a mainstream hit show, wasn't it? Everybody knew who the cast of the Enterprise were, who the crew of the Enterprise were in the 90s. They were, I wouldn't say they're as famous as sort of Den and Angie on EastEnders or something, but it wasn't far off. And it never happened afterwards with any of the series that came afterwards.
Not at all.
And I think, but they just broke through, didn't they? And so do you think that even though, obviously, Star Trek's general star has fallen in Britain, there's a lot less interest than there was.
Yeah.
But gradually, the word has got around that this cast are back together, and so that delivering a story which is not necessarily, I don't mean to say over familiar, but a story which is more sort of classical adventure, where, like I said about the episode Surrender, where they get the lineup of the hostages. We're going to kill one every 2 minutes. We've all seen that done over and over and over again. But the fact that we're familiar with it, casual audiences will also be familiar with it. They'll be able to pick up on it. They can get over the fact that it's on a spaceship this time, and one of them's got pointy ears and stuff. They know how this works. The familiarity won't push them away. They'll think, and these characters are. Do you see what I'm saying? It's. I don't think they're dumbing down at all, but I think Star Trek used to be a mainstream show. I think it used to be a popular success. It hasn't been for a very long time, and that this series, I think one of the things that it's doing, I don't think it's been its main mission statement, but I think it's something that it's gradually doing as well. Is that me looking with rose-tinted glasses?
No, not at all. I think even though this is more kind of mainstream, more kind of Star Trek the movies kind of Star Trek, more kind of a bit toned down, I think it's good because, as I said, it's bringing everyone back together. I've never seen Star Trek that's good since Star Trek Enterprise. It's just hitting all the nails on the head. I mean, I'm aware
that I interrupted Matt again, but yeah. I mean, is all this lost on you, Matt? It's just worn you down over the weeks. You just feel it's all been stretched out. It's all seen it all before.
I mean, Starfleet didn't act like Starfleet in this particular series, and then for the culmination of it,
they are changelings, aren't they?
Well, no, they
That's the
weren't. Some of the
point.
ones are, that's what I'm saying though. Some of them aren't. The admiral,
Oh,
the
yeah.
admiral woman, who was the only person that we actually saw for Starfleet during the whole time. That to me was just so idiotic, the way that she went out. She's like, "Oh, what's going on? Oh, I'm so stupid." It's just, I was just like, to me, Starfleet wouldn't act like that, and I just found that it was just a bit, what the hell was the, they're like, oh, they've got that new synchronization thing which you had up, Dan, with the ships. They're like, oh, we're all synchronized like this. If you're a good bloody pilot, you can do that anyway. So unless they haven't got good pilots on the actual ships that can, do that, go into formations and all that sort of thing. And I don't even know what sort of formation they were. I was trying to make sense of what the formations actually were, because it didn't look like a barrier to me. I was just like, it just, that stuff just, that was the moment that really took me out of this show. That moment. From then on, it lost me.
The mechanics and the logic of it. So how about a moment like this then? Okay, here we are. We're on Frontier Day at last, which we've never heard of Frontier Day before. But fair enough, why would we? It's the 250th anniversary of Starfleet, and with this we see Admiral Shelby lead out the Enterprise F. This is the first time we've seen the F on screen. Apparently, it's been part of the Star Trek Online game. This design, I've certainly seen this before, PD, and I thought this was spectacular. When the Enterprise came out of space dock there, and there's fireworks in space going off and all that, which I know is probably completely ridiculous, but who cares? This is
it's plasma. It's fine.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely fine. There's probably a reason why they're holographic or whatever, Lee. I don't know. I don't care. This is hundreds of years in the future. So how would I know? But moments like this, again, it's like, yes, I'm completely there for that. And the Enterprise looks beautiful. I hope the rabbi from another planet liked that moment, because he was waiting for that. But is all of this, see, I love stuff like that. I unapologetically do. And if Star Trek was doing this all the time and had been for years, I'd think, oh, come on, Hadley. You'd really this easily won over. But the fact is, it hasn't. It doesn't. I suppose you could say that Star Trek Beyond was, because that was the 50th anniversary production, supposedly, wasn't it? And whatever you feel about that movie, I don't know, but it didn't feel like a celebration to me for all the good things about it. It didn't feel like it. But this does feel like a celebration.
Yeah.
I thought that moment was fantastic. And I loved seeing Admiral Shelby as well back on screen. So she was in the best of both worlds, wasn't she? That's even the same actress they've got back playing her after all this time. And again, just a nice moment. And I think she's supposed to be the head of the fleet, isn't she? So I don't think that she's the captain, the usual commanding officer of this Enterprise. That was the impression I got, PD. But to lead out because this is supposed to be the flagship of the fleet, isn't it? It's an Odyssey class or a New Galaxy class or something like that. Do you know much about it, PD?
It's Odyssey class. This is the Enterprise F from Star Trek, from the Star Trek Online. This was created by a fan, and it got picked up by Star Trek Online and turned into an actual starship. Now it's canon on screen in front of us. Yeah. But I think it was Andorian. Yeah, it was an Andorian captain. I can't remember his name. It was a captain by an Andorian. But now, because it's been retired, because I said earlier in the show that there's something wrong with it, something wrong with the computer core or something.
I still prefer the Titan's design because it's more reminiscent.
I've really warmed to the Titan as well. Yeah. Oh, so they can have their cake and eat it here. So they've introduced technically a new Enterprise, but it's kind of an old Enterprise too. So if they wanted to give us another Enterprise in a couple of years, I see.
They can give us Enterprise G.
So bringing out characters like Shelby, Commander Shelby from the Best of Both Worlds, now an Admiral there, and having taking the same actress, putting her in that role. Again, you think, well, why do they have to do that? Well, why not? Might as well be her as anybody else. That's how I feel about it. is that lost on you as well, Matt? Is this something that you don't like either? Go on.
Well, no, I just there's just some things that are just really getting onto my nerves, and I can't quite. She just seems quite idiotic. I know there's a lot of pomp and stance with it, with the whole day and everything, but it just stuff just didn't sit with me. What they were doing, and it was nice to have the actress back. That was for sure. But you
felt they treated her like a stooge for.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
she got killed
it was
off
like,
screen,
oh, here
didn't
she is.
she?
Oh, she got killed off. Well,
Yeah.
no, you could see her get shot.
Oh yeah, a little
that was
bit.
the whole
Yeah,
point.
it was very
Yeah,
quick.
and it was
Yeah.
like, it was a bit of an overkill shot as well. It was like, dude, being like, and it's like, when you're used to Borg is supposed to assimilate, and instead, they're just like, oh, let's go and kill everybody, and that doesn't seem very Borg-like to me. It's like that was the whole point of the Borg, was the fact that they want, you will be like us, so. That part really just didn't make any sense, and the fact is that I'm sorry if she's that slow in realizing what's happening, and that everybody just gets taken over, and it's not really. There was not that mention of the changelings at all in this episode. We never even saw one.
Mhm.
So, where were they at this stage? Maybe we'll find out next week. Who knows? Or maybe we won't. Who knows?
It's very
Well,
dependent on that.
I said on an earlier show, Lee, I don't know if you ever watched the series 24, but in the average season of 24, they would introduce a character who you believed was the big bad guy. It's some nasty bastard terrorist or gangster or whatever, played by some, grizzled character actor. And you'd sort of grow to hate this character, and then they'd get killed off sort of about halfway through the season, only for them to introduce an even bigger, nastier bastard for you to. And this reminds me a little bit of that. They swap out the changelings for the Borg, but
Yeah, you
I do
can't
feel
just
that there
swap
are-
them out though. You need
No.
You need, because they're
I don't. In
Their
fairness,
storyline
Lee,
isn't
I
wrapped
don't. No, this is it. It's what we were saying earlier on, and the fact that you said it has convinced me that I'm right, placing my faith in Terry, that this is something that they intend on going. That it's a seed that's been planted,
I hope
rather than
so.
something that's been used up
Brushed.
and spat out, and now onto something else. I think you have to place faith in a creative who, who clearly want to entertain us. That it's going to go somewhere. And that these 10 episodes, they may be the end of something, but it's also the beginning of something else. Sorry, Matt.
One of the questions that may have been answered that I probably totally and utterly missed. So I'm guessing it was the Borg Queen all along that Vedek was talking to.
I've no idea. It does seem
So
that they're in
hopefully we'll have
league
that
partly with the
answered.
Borg. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was the whole point, isn't it? It's obviously, from what I can see, this seems to be the Borg that they were talking to all along.
And I suppose,
like-
again,
and
again,
then
we see
Jack
this in
just
the real
handed
world.
himself over to her, knowing that he was the weapon. That
Over
really
to a
still
mannequin.
marks me.
She looked like a mannequin. I'm sorry, you never even saw her face, and I was like, yeah, what's going on here? Is she going to be a skeleton hooked up to, wires or whatever? No, it's just we don't see any
because
of it. It just
in
looks like
in
a
the real
statue.
world we do see that, don't we, where the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and allegiances are formed based on longer term goals about taking down common enemies. We've seen it in the last couple of weeks, haven't we, here in the real world politics? And so why wouldn't the changelings and the Borg ally themselves to some extent or another? And yeah, when Jack goes to meet with the voice in his head, and there's smoke everywhere, isn't there? And lots of green and lots of dry ice and all that kind of thing. We hear a voice, don't we? And you said earlier on, Matt, I mean, it does sound to me that it's the Borg Queen, but specifically the original
one.
the proper Borg Queen. Now, I liked Susanna Thompson, and I quite like the actress, the late actress, Anna. Was her name Anna or Amy? Amy Asbeck, who played in season 2 of Picard.
We're not
I thought
talking about that, Dan.
I thought she did an okay job as well. So I know other actresses have played this part.
Yeah.
But I
well,
think
they actually the first one they brought back for Voyager, they actually ended up replacing her with the original actress because
they did. Yeah, Alice Creech did come back to it. Yeah. So I believe that voice is the voice of Alice Creech, and she will be back next week. But they're keeping us waiting, and hopefully we won't just see, because this is the situation that we had in First Contact, wasn't it? Her and Picard. And now it could potentially play out again the same way that it did between the Emperor and Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi, I suppose you could say. You know, she's going to put Jack in a similar situation. I don't know. And this is Alice Creech now. She's like 68, 69 years old, and she's never stopped working in theatre and television. She's been on British television quite a lot.
She's horrifying in Silent Hill, if you've ever seen that movie.
Oh yeah.
No, is that good then?
Ooh. Oh yeah, no, it's dark and it's very it's twisted. It's based on a horror video game, and she's very good in that. Like, you know,
Star Trek movies.
A real evil aura.
We've spoken in other live streams, Matt, about the villains of Star Trek movies, the Christopher Lloyds, for example. Yeah.
She left an imprint. She did.
Yeah, these standout characters.
Yeah.
The theatrical villains have tended to be the most memorable with this. And so if you're going to bring a Borg Queen back, then yeah, I say I liked the other people who've played the part, but they've never eclipsed her.
No, and that's what irked me. It was like, well, if you're going to go whole hog and you're going to put her voice in it, and like you're putting an image on there, it looks like a mannequin of what is supposed to be the Borg Queen, you know. Then, you know, just put her in it. You know, yes, she can age a little bit up, you know, you just do the whole hog, you know, don't just half-ass it, which is what I felt they did with this one.
Well, they're just delaying gratification, though. They want to keep us waiting for the money shot.
Well, I hope so, Dan. I hope that's the case, because
again, it's a dramatic.
We've already got there. Well, we've already got there. We've already seen it's a Borg Queen. So what are they going to do next? You know, so let's just wait and see. And then I'll have a look at the whole thing, the last 10 episodes as a whole. But other than that, you know, I'm going only.
Yeah, a lot of things are hinging on how this resolves in the final episode.
Yep.
So,
well, I'm already feeling like the ass has fallen out of it. So, you know,
when you say the arse has fallen out of it, do you mean dramatic? You don't care anymore? They've blown it for you, or there's too many bad choices that have accumulated?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot. Some of the goodwill has shriveled up, and so, you know, I'm kind of thinking that maybe, you know, I mean, it's been a long run, Dan. It's been like 9 episodes, and we're just fine. You know, I mean, you can't say that we can't just trim all this 9 episodes down so far down to a 2-hour movie. You can't.
No.
Say that we can't.
I wouldn't in a million years.
Yeah, so, you know, we just have to wait and see. So,
well, it's proving quite divisive. I think, you know, there is no one.
Is this true though, Lee? Because you say is this episode, because all I'm seeing is people, generally speaking, do seem to be united in their appreciation for this. And I appreciate that this panel is a bit more divided, and gloriously so. That's why we have these conversations. But generally speaking,
I'm sailing right through the middle. So I'm just like, I can see both sides.
It's not, but stepping back from the situation though, this is working for people, isn't it? On set, and not just on a sort of a nostalgic level. This is delivering something for people that, in some cases, it's something that people have been demanding. But in other cases, I think with the people who pretending that they were happy with other shows that have been produced through Secret Hideout over the last few years, people who were insistent they were enjoying them, it's delivered for those people what they were so insistent that they weren't missing, and that they're reacting differently too. I think we saw that to some extent with Strange New Worlds last year, but nowhere near, because that was a good show. I maintain that was a good, solid Star Trek show that really could hit pay dirt with the second season could. But with this, I think we're seeing something where the parts are clearly working beautifully, partly because you've got actors who know each other so well, and writers who know the characters, and a clear eye. So there's a number of reasons why.
It's definitely a step up, I would say, from Strange New World.
It feels like a cultural event. It feels like a cultural event, Lee. It feels like event television, rather than the third season of something or the first. It feels like a really special moment in time. Yeah, that people are, and okay, only a fraction of the people are on Twitter. Whether something, the Nazis trend on Twitter most days, for Christ's sake. And how many Nazis are there in the world, for heaven's sake? But so you could say, don't look at Twitter.
Thousands of millions, according to some people.
But when you look at Twitter, and then I talk to people that I know from day-to-day life who count themselves as sort of casual geeks. If they see an advert for something on the side of a bus, then they'll probably more likely watch it, or they'll text me, "Hey, I hear Star Trek's back." Those kind of people, they are like, "Oh my, this is really, really good. How old's Patrick Stewart again?" I get asked those kind of questions. So this seems to be reaching people.
Yeah. I think it has. I think the thing is with such a legacy cast of a particular age, I don't think it's necessarily going to draw in a younger audience. I don't think the younger audience really truly exists. And I think it's the same sort of thing with Doctor Who. When you have a legacy show like this, when you're trying to chase after another audience, you're trying to really betray what it is in order to appeal to a younger audience who would have naturally have just gone on board with it because of their parents anyway. If your parents watch
I think that is the case. I think it's the case with this as well. I know several people who are watching this with their children, who who've shown their children TNG, say 5 or 6 years ago, and are watching this with those kids now. And those kids are, they get to see characters they've been shown before, or they get to see those mixed with new characters who they can say, okay, that's dad's or mum's Star Trek. It's that, but this is the next generation, and latching onto those characters. And I myself, I do like Ed Spilliers as Jack Crusher. I think he's great. I also think that Ashley Chestnut, is it, who plays one of the LaForge girls, I think she's fantastic. Ashley Sharp Chestnut, that's her name. I think she's brilliant. Plays the part beautifully. The right mix of appearing very capable but vulnerable at the same time, which again, something that we've got accustomed to not seeing in new characters created for modern television. I think characters like her are likely to please the dads, because she's very attractive, in case you hadn't known. So there's that, but there's also the fact that you can root for characters like that. But I think that people who are a bit younger will relate to somebody like that because of their age. And it's not rocket science. That's how Doctor Who companions work, isn't it? So to bring in a new generation of characters, and even Captain Shaw falls into them as well.
Yeah.
At the side, because they're interacting with the people that we know and love. I think that's how you grow your audience. I think that is how you seed or reseed a fictional universe which has been left barren, really, for several decades. I do think that, I enjoy Strange New Worlds, but I put my hand up and say I'm so sick of Star Trek prequels. I'm sick of prequels generally. But this is how you evolve things. This is how you begin something else.
Yeah, I think
what we're talking about again.
Ultimately, I think maybe we should move forward beyond this point. But I just to say that I think that we've definitely come to a crossroads where we have to decide what Star Trek is moving forward. Now there are going to be people who want it to evolve and want it to appeal to a new audience. However you get there, whether it's through family.
I think as long as it's about humanity. Whether it's aliens or as long as it's about humanity.
You need to make sure that whatever defines Star Trek remains Star Trek. That means the Federation should be a positive force for good. The morality tales are in place. The characters are believable and
all of that's integral. Yeah.
competent, above all competent, and likable. And those things are so important. And it is an ensemble piece, and Star Trek should.
That's
not
one of the
be
things I
the
liked
cult
about
of a
Captain Shaw.
for example.
No,
Yeah.
that's one of the things I liked about Captain Shaw. He didn't feel like he was he was somebody who was seeking to be popular with the crew.
No, he was a company man.
Knew his
really,
job. He was a recognizable,
Federation man.
proper, rounded character, and you knew exactly who he was within about 3 scenes. Okay, you didn't know,
And we didn't like him.
What he had for,
We
you didn't know what he had for
like him.
breakfast.
No.
You think, okay, I know that guy. I've worked with that guy. It was
Should
that
listen
kind of
to
character.
him, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was.
We didn't like him at first.
He
but we
was
grew
right
to
all
love him.
along. He's like,
Matt,
yeah,
we
no,
used to
ain't
love
gonna
him.
happen.
That's the beauty of in my view, that's the beauty of the writing of this, because we knew he was right in episode 1 and 2. We knew he was right, but Picard was also right as well.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of where. Who do you
The moral
side
conundrum.
with? Who?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they've both got a point. It's the same with Beverly deciding to raise her son away from Picard. How has she got the right to do
I would have
that?
thrown Jack out the airlock
But-
personally, but there you go.
But was she wrong? No, she wasn't wrong. She was right. But Picard is also right. He's morally right. So which call would you? It's a situation that as a parent, you think, my God. It's all of these things to me. Again, when I say Star Trek is about humanity, that's the kind of thing that I mean. This is the kind of, and that's what real drama as well, proper rounded drama, and proper the exploration of topics, whether they are from current affairs or not. When people say, "Oh, the so and so, whatever show, insert whatever show," has always been political. No, it hasn't. It's always been topical. The way it's explored its stories was always within a rounded way through
I would
its character.
I would like to see Star Trek go back to somewhat of the basics, where it's about a peace mission to discover new worlds and new life forms. I think that's kind of been a little bit kind of waylaid and lost with all the bells and whistles and the Borg and all this kind of stuff, and the machinations of the Federation and the corruption.
One
that's
big
happened.
bad after another big bad.
Yeah,
or one big intergalactic event which you are at the mercy of. We're so insignificant and little, and this enormous thing, the
Scale it back
scorch,
down.
it's going to do.
Scale
Yeah,
it down.
it's too much. And this is one of the things that works so well about Strange New Worlds. It does that. It places you in a couple of people's heads or at their shoulders. Again, it connects us with people again, I think, and that's what I see in that. What I hope for its future. I mean, for all that I've just said about it being about humanity, in this episode, it's the moments that were crafted to make us punch the air. That did make me punch the air. I didn't see the Enterprise D coming, and when they take the shuttlecraft inside space dock, and these are standard Star Trek moments. The light casts itself across the hull of a ship, and sure enough, it is the D. I seem to be the only person on the panel today who. Who wasn't who was surprised by this. I didn't see this coming, and as they were going around the ship and talking about it, I thought, are we going to get to go inside? Sure enough, we do, and there's the bridge recreated so beautifully.
Dan, did you get that awful feeling when the light started coming on and it was all blue, and you're thinking, oh no, they're going to make it dark, aren't they?
I did.
Were you
I
worried
did wonder.
that?
Well, because I couldn't see how. You wonder how. Firstly, I'm aware that they, as I said earlier on, they only had so much money to play with. Secondly, they'd sown the seed. Geordie's been doing this. Geordie's been doing this kind of Wallace and Gromit style, Matt. So I view it. How Wallace would be in his shed banging something together for an hour on a Sunday afternoon. I get the impression
this was big fix kit.
This was Geordie's fixer-upper. This was Geordie's fixer-upper every Sunday afternoon for 20 years.
You got to remember too, Dan, this was finished when they were trying to leave last time. So why didn't they just pull it out of their arsenal then, instead of just, using the cloaking device, from thing? It was like it was sitting there all along inside the damn station. all along, and they
Well,
could have taken it. You know?
They stole. Jack and Crash stole the cloaking device. Geordie didn't give it to them, did he?
No. But what I'm saying is, that it was actually sitting in there all along. So they could have used that to get where they needed to earlier on. But instead, it's been sitting there for 3 episodes. So for the finale, it's like.
Yeah, but they haven't. I don't know, mate. They haven't been there, have they? I don't know. I think. Oh, come on, Matt. I don't know. You do you, I suppose. Did any of this affect you, Matt? Did you like this at all? Or was it, by this point you checked out?
No, it was all right. I mean, I wanted it to be a bit brighter than what it was. I still think it was too dark. That's the only.
Yeah, but it was brighter
I know I'm a miserable
in the 90s.
For fuck's
sake. It was brighter in the 90s.
I love you, mate. You know I love you.
Guys, it was brighter in the 90s because it had to be for that type of television filming. That's the reason
I just
why.
swore. I shouldn't have sworn. You should just lightly swearing.
But still, I think they've swapped them for LED lights or something.
Probably.
This has so much built-in meme magic. I think in fact, the memes have already started turning up. I saw one earlier on. Patrick Stewart sat in that chair. Make it so. Engage. Blah blah. All that stuff. Give us those moments. This is what Kathleen Kennedy decided she couldn't and wouldn't give us in the sequel trilogy of Star Wars movies. We never got to see Han, Leia, and Luke, and Chewie, and R2, and all those characters back together again. They decided, they didn't want to please us. We didn't matter, and those characters didn't matter. Here we see classic characters being deftly used to give us moments like that. This isn't an indulgence. It's certainly not a member berry. This is texture. This is story. This is character. This is legend. And quite frankly, if you're complaining about this after all the years of seeing characters mishandled and opportunities for real gold and beautiful moments missed, then I don't know what to tell you. I think the characters. Well, I hope. I say I know.
Can I just say that there are actually
way.
People in the chat too, Dan, that are agreeing with me. Clobbering Times is agreeing with me.
I would imagine. You know what?
Bobby doesn't like it. Full stop.
We'll be coming to the. I'll definitely. I know the comments are building up. When I last looked, there wasn't many. I know there's quite a lot now. So thank you everybody who's dropping comments. We're going to come to those in a little while.
Making me look like a bad guy. Yeah. What?
No, with data with them taking their seats like that at their stations again. Yes. It's
the carpet. I
tried to avoid that M word, Dan, that you don't like me using, and yet you used it, and it's like, well, that's how I see it. I didn't use that word, Matt. I didn't say that. You did use them.
No, I didn't. But I know. You're talking about member berries. You're talking about member berries. I didn't say member berries.
This isn't member berries. This is homage.
I alluded. Member berries. The member berries situation, which I know has been put about, created by this very platform and by other content creators. No, this isn't member berries. There's a distinct difference, which I'll be happy to go into on another show. But that's not what this is. This is texture. This is character. This is legacy. This is story.
I am happy. I don't even think member berries by itself is a bad thing. And I believe, as PD said, it's homage. And I mean,
I think what you're talking about is texture. I think what you're talking about is texture. I think, in my view, and I'm not sure who created the notion of member berries, but as I viewed it, it was South Park, was it? Because I've never looked it up, but I see it getting mutated all the time in the fandom, and now it seems to me in all manner of things. When somebody doesn't like something, when they feel that something that they grew up with is being mismanaged, then they call it member berries. But when they don't feel it's been mismanaged, it's all fine, and because that's human nature. I'm not, but let's be honest about it. In my view, this isn't. Yeah, it's a totally tribal thing, and I believe it's a superficial thing myself. I mean, what I would view as member berries is when we, for example, on an episode of Star Trek Discovery, we go into Michael Burnham's quarters, and she may have, and that show which doesn't Doesn't feel like Star Trek, doesn't look like Star Trek. We're told these characters are connected, but we don't see it, we don't feel it. But on her desk, she might have, say, a sculpture that was once in Spock's quarters on another ship or something like that. It's like, look, it is Star Trek. Look, it is Star Trek. It is. You might think that it's not, but it is. It is, because look, that's over there. To me, that's a member berry, not this, not everything that's been sewn in to the script, so beautifully placed and developed in this. See, Matt, you think I'm being stupid?
No. I think also you've got to look at it different. Like the greatest hits as well. There's also a replaying of the greatest hit. Yeah. No, that's what it is.
Yeah, because this is, and why is that okay? Because this is entertainment. And if we don't want to be entertained, why are we here?
Exactly.
Why
that's
are we
right.
here?
That's right. And for the most part, Dan, I have been entertained by this series. That I think the reason why it's getting the praise that it is because it's been a lot different than what we've been getting in the last 6-7 years lately. So that's the reason why.
Not just from Star Trek either, from Star Wars, from any one of a number of things.
Being force fed, it's
it does show a tonal shift. It does show a tonal shift, and I think
whether or not it stays that way,
for all the criticism
it's far too early to
received,
say.
Yeah, I think it's a step in the right direction. Regardless of where you stand on this episode or this series or whatever, the tonal shift is happening. There is a thirst for it. I think once you engage with Terry Matalis, he's hearing you. I think that's definitely an improvement from where we have been. I don't think this is Kurtzman Trek. I think, yes, it does have a hangover of that. I do believe that. I can see that. Superficially, yeah. He's definitely not in charge of this, right? I don't care what anyone says. I think this is a marked difference from, if you look at Discovery and you look at this, there is a huge leap. Regardless of where you stand on this particular episode of this particular series of Picard, it's definitely a step up from the trash of Discovery. Is it perfect? No. Is it the Star Trek everyone wants? No. But it's definitely got all the hallmarks, and it can be improved on, it can be built upon, and it's down to the fans really to kind of push that. Don't just trash it. Get on board with it and try and use your voice to tell the production people what you want, and so that they can give.
Because they are interested, Lee. They're
learning
100%
slowly. Yeah,
I've interacted with Terry a little myself, and it's not phony. He is genuinely interested.
Oh yeah,
I think it shows. It does show.
So the Enterprise D takes flight. It's off. I mean, by the end of the action, I was yelling at the screen to, that's it. Go. And when they make the jump, when you get the crash that we used to see on every episode of TNG, albeit a 21st century version of, but the familiar sound effect as the Enterprise D goes off to hopefully save the Federation, save us all from the Borg, from the Changelings, from everybody, from ourselves. Then I was punching the air. I was yelling at the screen. This does feel to me like an early birthday and Christmas present all rolled into one. And we've got the stakes too with the character that I do quite like. I do like Jack Crusher. So we've got those huge stakes. We've got these small stakes as well, because Picard, obviously he has a son. He has a child. This is all new for him. We want him to know his son, and I want his son to make his way back from this situation and from the clasp of the Borg and the Borg Queen. There's the pressure is on for this last episode to deliver on all of this, Matt. I agree with you, and I think we can only hope that it will, and being willing to be entertained. I think
I'm sorry if I'm sounding like a bit of a downer with this whole thing, but it's just the fact that we've been worn down, Dan, and there's been a few bumps in this where there've been happy bumps, but it's just. Yeah, it's just getting to that stage now where I'm kind of glad it's coming to an end next week. And so, you know, and am I looking forward to it? Yeah, definitely.
I think it's reaching a very natural conclusion. Yeah, I think to go any longer probably wouldn't have been.
No, I'm glad it's only a 10 episode thing. And I mean, I'd be even happier if it had just been 5 episodes, to be honest. And I think that they could have, they can easily edit it into a movie of the week or something like that, maybe. And maybe they'll look at that in the future, try and sell it for.
Kurtzman is
going
to be out at some point. I think then
he's just signed on for a new show, hasn't he? And
good.
Isn't it for another 5 years or something? Sorry,
whatever.
Dan, you'd know, wouldn't you?
If we can hold out and just bide our time, if Terry Matalan, if Terry Matalan,
I've got to say that a couple of times.
I can't help it. Quality shopping. What can I say? Other brands are available. I would say just hold on. Like, this is a step in the right direction. People who are frustrated at this point, I would say, notice the tonal shift. Notice that if we actually get this season, so people are talking about it, people are invested in it, people are happy. Not everybody, but some people are happy with this. It's a step in the right direction. If we go with that flow, you can use that energy to redirect where Star Trek is going in the future. Once Kurtzman is gone, and eventually he will be gone, because it's going to become absolutely patently obvious to even the dumbest bloody temp with a bad attitude at Paramount that he is bad news for your brand. Once he's gone, and if Terry takes over, or someone like him, or if he gets a team together, or whatever, comes in, and then you can, because he engages with you to the certain point. He said, I mean, he probably ignores a lot of other people as well, but that's the way it is. But at least it's showing a level of effort that there is that ability to communicate and reach across. If we can use that and funnel people who are not on board with it as it currently is, and say, let's get together, say what we love about Star Trek, and try and reinforce what it is that Star Trek is, and then try and put that across to whoever takes over in the future, and say, look at what's happened in the past. Look at the classic series. Look at TNG. Look at all the rest. Look at Picard season 3 and compare it to Discovery and all the rest. Then see how you move this forward and bring along as many people as possible, and staying true to Roddenberry's vision, which shouldn't be forgotten. And let's go and find some new worlds and new civilizations and bring it back to heel. That, I think, if you can just...
Not a bad battle plan, Lee.
Do that. Yeah, it's all about communication and not ignoring the people who are not on board, or just praising and pleasing all the people who are. You need to have that cross conversation, and I think it's very important. And I think for the longevity of Star Trek moving forward, you've got to engage. You've got to engage with the fans, and Paramount has been listening now, at least with Terry here. Going forward, they need to do more of that. You need to understand what you have, not what you want. And that's a very important difference. So I think Terry Matalas does get that. So I just hope that he gathers a team of people around him who are also like that. And get people who are across the aisle. People who are like Clobby here, or Lord Thoth, who are going to be in that position to kind of get in that wheelhouse and turn it around and keep that momentum going in that direction. I think it's a good start, and I think it can please more people if you start opening up and remembering who Roddenberry was, what his vision was, and what the show should be, and injecting that lightheartedness to it, injecting that positivity into it. You can change the conversation, because so much science fiction today has become so dreary, apocalyptic, and depressing, and we live in very depressing times. So what we really want, and I think Paramount needs to understand this, is that injection of positivity and that collective responsibility for a better future. And that was Roddenberry's vision, and we need to push that home. People shouldn't be ignored. People should be engaged.
Well said. Probably that's exactly how I feel as well.
Another question for you. Do we think that next week we're going to find out whether or not Tuvok is alive or dead? Because this was
that's another thing that really, really irked me. Why would you contact someone that was like gonna be a changeling, and yet you wouldn't contact the doctor? Why wouldn't you contact the doctor? Because he's less likely to be a changeling if he's a hologram. Sorry, I'm going off. But anyway, I wasn't there that week, so I gotta say that really irked me.
Technology changes, doesn't it? He's not a human being, is he? The doctor. We don't know what's happened to him.
That's the whole bloody point. Exactly. He can't be a changeling either, can he?
But what I'm saying is, he may not even exist anymore for all we know. It's been like 20 years.
Oh no! We already know it.
No, what happened to Data? Look what happened to Data. Do you think the Doctor's been corrupted or something in this universe?
No, we've already seen
I don't know, but I think we can only. We're not privy, are we? Watching television. This isn't real life. This is drama. So we see the things that play out in people's lives. We see some of it. We don't know what's happened to these characters in between. Why Seven chose Tuvok in particular? I think. Well, why not? Why wouldn't she?
Because he was available.
They served together on that ship for. Well, who would you? Seriously, who would you prefer? I don't really see it.
I would have gone with the Doctor because he's less likely to be a changeling, isn't he? Anyway,
I just don't see how. I just think this is such. I don't know.
I know.
Maybe we should just have a show. Maybe we should just have a show where we just nitpick.
But I'll tell you what, though, Dan,
it's nuanced. It's conversation.
I don't know what to say to that. I sincerely don't.
Dan, it's lovely to hear these conversations again after all these years.
Yeah, we're not talking about wokery and whammon bosses.
I'm not saying in any way this show is woke, to a degree.
No, but you are hinting that you are saying that it's badly made and badly thought through.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Badly written, badly directed, badly acted. You have said all of those things.
Excuse me, I've said that there's some directing's being some fantastic in this.
Yeah, you did. You said,
and I've said some acting in this is fantastic. It's just, we can't just be all happy sunshine and everything and rainbow farts.
No, but I am. I am getting the impression that some of this is because Terry Metalis blocked you on Twitter.
He did do that too. But anyway,
okay, let's move on. Okay, so
less of that, Terry. Less of that.
Yeah,
I hate Battlestar Galactica remake. It sucks.
Okay, so
wow.
Yeah, Star Trek Picard season 3 concludes this coming Thursday, the 20th of April, and you get it. You lucky Americans, you get it. You get it on Thursday on Paramount Plus, and we get it the following day. Pretty much everywhere else, I think it sort of rolls out, doesn't it? On Amazon Prime the very next day. International locations, it says there in the blurb, and we get to see what's going to happen. What's happened to Tuvok? What's happened to the Doctor? We may find out. What's going to happen with the Federation and the Borg and the good, the bad, and the ugly there in the 25th century. We're going to find out. We did get this one picture released. This has got a cheer. Come on, I won't ask Matt, but this is a picture that's just been released today of the cast of The Next Generation. They're back on the bridge of the Enterprise D, the brand new old Enterprise D, and don't they look happy campers, very comfortable in their chairs there.